could easily mass up just some more, you know, whatever. I mean, he's got the money. It's not as if he's hurting for money. Could easily be getting some units out to counteract this, but it looks like he was having more fun controlling his roaches, and it looks like mind controlling those void rays and getting them to go to work on those. But it looks like they are going to get out of range and break that neural parasite, as they are now shooting up his infestors. As he does have no way to attack air, our Zerg player should definitely have gotten a Hydralisk den, and it looks like the layer is now going down as those Void Rays are beginning to charge up. Could definitely be using fungals a lot better. What I've seen is you basically just fungal growth and spawn a bunch of infested Terrans and watch the carnage happen. But it looks like he's not doing that, and the Protoss is forced to retreat, but did manage to take out all the hatcheries except for the one, so the Zerg player is going to have a hard time recuperating his losses after this engagement, as we do have this Void Ray staying charged on those Overlords right now. And it looks like now he is going for the spawning pool, chooses not to engage the spawning pool. Bird Roaches sitting in here, pops up, and starts to go to work on those Stalkers. Meanwhile, the Infestors are just chilling underneath. And this is definitely turning out to an interesting game. Definitely not using the Infestor to its full ability, as Fungal Growth would have done so much more damage, as it does 36 damage over 4 seconds, but does massive amounts of damage to armored units, as it does 30% bonus to anything that's armored. Choosing instead to Neural Parasite and not necessarily use Neural Parasite to its full advantage could easily have had all of this killed off a lot sooner, as Fungal Growth is that powerful. It does have a very small range, but like I said, it just does massive amounts of damage to armored units, and it's repeatable. You just fungal, wait for it to expire, fungal, wait for it to expire, or like I said, fungal and spawn infested Terrans, and you'll basically be able to pick off a lot of this army a lot sooner. But enough on that. We do have the Protoss base mined out at the main, at the natural, working on mining in his expansion, and this base up here. But we do not have many units in production, as his economy is very low. Meanwhile, the Zerg player sitting up over 10,000 minerals, which, as anyone knows in this game, is way too many. Definitely could have been using those minerals. Could be up at 200 supply right now, just spamming hatcheries, spamming overlords. Looks like he's content on just using whatever little units he has left, not even bothering to build up. Hasn't seen anything in the production queue quite some time, and deciding to push in with his infestors, spawning more of those infested Terrans, using the energy on those infestors. Probably not the best, but is trying to do as much damage as physically possible, and continuing to spawn more infested Terrans, which are just basically getting taken out before they can do any damage, as they have no upgrades. No upgrades for the Roaches here. Hallucinated Colossus joining into the fight. Infestors here getting picked off left and right fast as possible, as that Neural Parasite is not... Oh, Neural Parasite's the Hallucinated Colossi. That is epic. Right there. Almost as epic as GG when you see a whole bunch of cloaked or hallucinated Void Rays, but Neural Parasiting Hallucinated Colossi is pro. And it looks like that Zerg army is going to get taken out. 43 supply now for our Zerg player. And it looks like with his 11,000 minerals is not even choosing to rebuild at all. Could have spent a lot of this game way more maxed out. Could have easily had a far superior army if he just chose to build hatcheries. I mean, you could build a hatchery here, here. Build another couple hatcheries here. Build one here. You could just spam Zerglings for all it matters. I mean, it's not really as if the Protoss could be able to keep up if you were just... There we go. Now we've got mass hatcheries coming up for the Zerg players. We do now have 4 in production right now, with 2 more on the way. 5 hatcheries now, 6 hatcheries spawning down here in the southern position. We'll see if he decides to use some of that money. Mass up Zerglings, as we do now have this Protoss Death Ball moving out with their blink, taking out the extractor for no apparent reason other than that it was just there. Picking off that drone, and we'll see if he decides to push in with this force or sit back and relax. 12 Zerglings now in production, as well as those 6 hatcheries. And the infestation pit is slowly going to die. Is it going to get killed off before the hatchery finishes? We will see. And it looks like with the rate it's falling and the rate that the hatchery is building, this infestation pit will in fact be destroyed. Could possibly even lose the rest of these tech. There goes the infestor, exploding without its nutrients. More fungal growths or neural parasites going down. Blink stalkers quickly taking out those infestors. Meanwhile, we do have 115 supply for our green Protoss, 30 supply for our red Zerg, And it looks like he's just now getting those hatcheries up, but is going to lose this base yet again, as now the Spire is touching creep and slowly starting to regenerate life. Meanwhile, these Stalkers are sitting up in here in the base and are going to take out that hatchery yet again, and we're going to lose all the production facilities from our Zerg players. Should be forced to GG out any minute. This looks like it's just a last desperate ditch effort. Should definitely be getting a spawning pool down, getting some queens built from all these hatcheries that are not producing a lair. Another expansion here coming up for the Protoss player. Looks like he could even take this base down here, as he is so far ahead right now, it's not even funny. 139 to 17 supply, and it looks like he's just getting ready to take off whatever units he can. This huge army is just sitting back here, just waiting back, biding its time. Meanwhile, here comes the Void Raid to scout this base, and it looks like the army will move out, as it does spot all these hatches, and will definitely start to get to work on those buildings. Now picking off drones left and right. Roach Warren is starting to slowly bleed to death, as it is now off creep and will quickly be taken out, as Zerg buildings do not survive off creep except for the extractors, which for some reason always live till the very, very end. Meanwhile, pushing down here with this small Stalker force, as we do now have 15 roaches in production just before that Roach Warren expires. But like with these upgrades, these Stalkers are going to be able to do massive amounts of damage. 2-1 on the Stalkers right now versus these 0-0 roaches that are being produced. Do now have a spawning pool and a Spire going up for our Zerg player, and it looks like he is going to be losing his lair yet again. The rest of the Protoss army is now pushing up together with this force here, and it looks like he is now getting picked off. One Stalker gets picked off and choosing to engage here on this low ground, but it looks like as soon as he gets vision of the high ground, can just blink up and surround those roaches and quickly take them out, as he does have the superior army as well as superior upgrade advantage, and why this Zerg player has not GG'd out of the game when he lost his entire Infestor army and still sitting at 9,000 minerals. Alright, and it looks like we are now getting to work on those hatcheries very slowly. Could easily, there gets the blink up to get to more damaging units up into the base, as we do have that Void Raid charging up and taking out all these buildings from the Zerg player. I wonder if he's going to let those two extractors be the final key, or if we'll see this Zerg opponent actually GG out of this game. It doesn't look like it so far, even though he is now losing all of his buildings, has no production capabilities left, basically relying on two extractors, and will shortly start being revealed, as he has no units yet. Now even just picking off the larva for the sake of killing things. Overlords, we've got Overlords everywhere, but yep, just looks like these two extractors are what's keeping the Zerg player in the game right now. Definitely a very interesting game so far. Very huge blunder play by our Zerg opponent. Interesting play though from the Protoss player, and it looks like the Zerg player does finally leave the game without even so much as a GG. I hope you enjoyed this cast and many more like it. Please subscribe to my channel down below. Check me out on Twitter at RatGoskaSC2. And yeah, check out the StarCast forums, www.thestarcast.com. Catch you later.